Good morning. Welcome in to another episode of Good Morning Nasdaq right here on the Clover Trading YouTube channel. It is Monday. Happy Monday, everybody out there. The 27th day of January, year of our Lord 2025. We got It's Parker in here, Thomas, Wayne, El Jefe, Baja Express. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome in. Happy Monday. Get over there in the live chat. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Post any tickers that intrigue you or you have questions about. We'll be happy to get to those towards the end of the show. But the main bulk of the show is talking about the biggest runners in small cap land, going through their any dilution, their catalyst, why they're up on the day, and talking about their daily charts and what we see when we look at these charts for the first time. You're more than welcome to ask any questions. Can't promise we'll get to every single one. This is our shortened show. But we're live every day. The market is open at 8:45 a.m. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 9:15 a.m. for some live trading on Wednesdays. So if that intrigues you, if you're new around here and you want to see more of it, hit that subscribe button for us. If you're here and you're watching every show and you're not subscribed, please consider doing so. And yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Interesting day, Huddie, to wake up to. Negative 2% on the overall markets.
I don't like it
Huddie doesn't like it. Why don't you like it?
because I like it when everyone makes money and the stocks go up and there's not these weird Chinese apps that are bringing down our magnificent seven stocks, and that just doesn't look good.
Doesn't sit right with me when I pull it up and everything's red on the day, right?
Yeah, I don't like that.
Because it's almost like you start planning out your day and you're like, ugh, what am I going to do today?
I don't want to be here.
Because the market ain't it.
Well, for someone I'm sure it is, but for us it ain't.
For us, it ain't. Taking a look at the overall markets, gapping down a bit right now. Did break the highs at the end of last week after that pullback, multi-week pullback, into December, into January. And
They do say buy low, sell high.
They say it. They've said it. So kind of a choppier overall market right now. Has definitely been that way in small cap land as well. Really a lack of consistent momentum. We have had some momentum. We've had some gappers run. We've had some gappers gapulate and crapulate. But in terms of getting those runners, those multi-day runners that we need to have some bigger picture setups, we're kind of lacking in that area right now. We're attacking. So going into a Monday like this, Huddie, where it's China news, I don't know if you want to dive into it more. It just seems like there's a threatening AI app out there from a different country, and everything's red. So it does make a difference on how you plan your day going into today. For me, it feels like it might take a few days to get the market back for maybe the back end of the week. Or do you just look at it and go, I'll trade the opportunities in front of me, and since everything's red and there's no opportunities, then I just won't click any buttons, and you don't think too much into it.
It's like I always say, if my setup is there, regardless of the market being red, I would take the setup. Like my strategy, again, it's different though, but my strategies have no correlation to the overall market, or practically zero. So
You
it
got
doesn't matter.
plays today.
It's like what are the opposite? The opposite is like the stock market's gapping up 5%. Are you gonna ask me if I'm not gonna short a gapper? Like I'm gonna short a gapper.
That's a big gap.
That's what I'm just saying. I'm just saying, what if the opposite were happening, right? Like, would I all of a sudden not do my short selling strategies? The answer is no. I still would short sell extended stocks that I think have, good hot odds of coming back down. And so the overall market really doesn't affect my decision in stocks that I'm trying to play. But again, I'm not looking for a stock to like randomly buy and hope that it goes up. That's probably, if you're gambling like that in the market, like you're probably going to lose today more often than any day. But I don't really know.
Yeah, we definitely associate more negative emotions with the market being down than I feel like we do when the market's up. And regardless of whether it's up 2%, down 2%, if there is no daily chart setups from my watch list, then it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Which is why I try not to look at that too particularly. On days where it is super volatile to the downside, do you feel like just in general over the 20 to 40 of those in my career that there's just a lot less opportunity and you just sit back and wait. And there's nothing wrong with that.
I guess my biggest fear right now with everything that's going on is that the AI bubble might be popping. We've been on like this massive run, what really, if you like kind of zoom out, ever since November 2023 when ChatGPT came out and NVIDIA found a bid and went, 5-6x. And in my career of watching stocks, like that is not generally how big chip stocks are supposed to move. Not that much that quickly, right? That's like 600%, 500% in a year and a half. That's insane. The market on average returns 7% a year. And you're telling me that if you just, got NVIDIA in the past year and a half, you 10x or whatever the number is, I'm just rounding. But I do think that we are extended. I do think we are in some sort of AI bubble. And I don't know. My worst fear is that this DeepSeek thing, like I think the fear is that this is a tool that can pop the bubble, that can take business away from some of those Magnificent Seven and create their products, their mainstream products at much cheaper costs, thus like taking away their competitive edge. And if that's all true, then yeah, the bubble's going to pop. And we might see significant downside because these things are very extended. Now, am I going to play any of that? No. Like, I have no intention of shorting those things. I have no intention, but that's again not my strategy. I don't come to the market to fake and believe that just because I understand this information that I'm spewing to you guys, that I can take action on it, that it's going to make a difference in in what I do. I'm not an investor. I don't really invest in the Magnificent Seven. I don't care what the AI bubble does. I care about what happens today, and I care about what happens tomorrow, and I day trade. So none of that has any effect on me or my strategies. It's just it is kind of what's going on, and that's kind of an ugly, that's kind of an ugly scenario if the AI bubble pops. I don't like that.
You don't love it.
I just like when things go up.
Everyone
But
does.
you can't go up without going down.
You can't, and you never know what the next sector will be. The next big runner. I hate when it is China related though, because like we'll talk about it here in a second. The biggest gappers of the day, all will have relatively similar news in that world, and that's why even on a day like today, we'll still have some good gappers up a lot just because of that news and their correlation to it. But you'll also see that the MO of the tickers that we talk about today are all a little more on the sketchy side. It's one of my least favorite sectors to get attention and get hot. Just because they're more difficult to trade. They're a little bit more low float trash, but we'll talk about them because they are the biggest percent gappers of the day. And what do you say? How do we get right into it?
Sure.
The biggest one on the day, the biggest gap of the Toro, as Huddy would call it, is what'd you say?
I would not call it that.
That is what you would call it.
Okay.
Aurora Mobile out of China, 3.34 million float. Overall risk is low. Offering ability is medium. News 4 hours ago is that their GPT bots.ai, is that them? Is that their name? Integrates DeepSeek R1 LLM, expanding its enterprise AI agent capabilities. And then at the same time, they also PR'd that the shortened version of that they just integrated DeepSeek R1 LLM. So that's going to be your buzzword of the day, of the week, who knows, but
Of the year.
DeepSeek, kind of a cool name. Don't want to say it, but kind of a cool name. Sounds way cooler than Chat GPT. That one's hard to even say. I didn't get it when it first came out. What do we see here, Huddy, on Aurora Mobile? Not a lot about the company.
I don't care about these individual tickers that are gapping up right now. I think you kind of nailed it on the head with the theme of what's going on and like what is small cap here to do. Small cap here, and I don't think these are necessarily small cap companies, but what are these companies that we generally see gapping up really big? They're generally pump and dumps. These companies are seeing that there is a theme, and that came out Sunday, and by Monday morning they're drawing up PRs and pumping their stock up to probably potentially sell paper on to investors. Like that is what they do. That is why you're seeing it. Now, maybe one of the four are real. I can't tell you which ones are blatant scams and which ones are not. I can just tell you, like, this is how the world goes round in small cap. Stocks get pumped up. People start chasing them. The insiders dump on them because they know that it's all BS. And then the stock goes back to new lows. Hence, Hollow and MLGO, some of your, lower priced gappers from today that we'll eventually get into, have these massively big downtrending charts that have random press releases throughout the year, and they probably had some Chat GPT press releases at one point, and look where they are today, right? So that's what's going on. These companies are trying to get on to this PR as soon as possible while it's still fresh, while investors are still willing to chase it, so that they can bring in the liquidity. And once the liquidity comes in, they're going to dump their supply on you if they have supply. Is a general theme. I don't know when they're going to do it. I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know which one's going to go super crazy and which one's not. But I can tell you the overall direction from all of this is down, except for the short term that it's up.
Yes. I tend to agree 100 P's with that. As it
So
relates to JG, is kind of a different one than the grouping that you outlined because it's not one that we've really seen. I don't think. I feel like I would remember this one. Going back in time here, definitely top left to bottom right. Not one that we would have associated with China pumps of past. Not a stock that gets a ton of volume or PRs a whole lot. You got one gap and crap back here at the end of 2023. Most of 2024 was spent uptrending into the $10 area and going sideways, mid-range, $5-6, but really on no volume, no increased demand there. But it is gapping up pretty significantly today. This is your biggest gapper by far, up 200% right now from the 6s up to the 20s. And now is doing some consolidationing, if you will. In the 15 to 18 area. What do you think here as you draw the comparisons? They obviously all will have the same news. Holo and MLGO are the other ones we might talk about. And those have news, like you said, probably have had news about ChatGPT in the past. They're ex-China pumps. Those ones have been serious threats of liquidation at any time you trade them, but have also gone on to have pretty significant moves. And then you kind of have one with the same news, but a stock that we haven't really heard from or seen a lot about, but is China and DeepSeek news, and up significantly, up 200%, up near $20. Do you think any differently about it, or do you throw it into that basket anyway?
I would say that with like stocks that come from sub 10 and really sub $5 area, it's kind of the opposite of the American judicial system. It's guilty until proven innocent. And I think just most stocks that get this kind of PR and get this kind of gap are up to no good. I could be wrong. Obviously, like there could be some merit here, and maybe price level has something to do with that. But I think price is all fugazi. I think market cap is all fugazi. Like these aren't real valuations that these stocks are gapping up into, in my opinion. So regardless, like I don't know why anyone would like really find a lot of demand up here, but sometimes they do get squeezes going. So that's always kind of in the cards. But my first comment is guilty until proven innocent. Guilty until you tell me until I really find out that you're not a scam. I think they're all scams.
Yeah, and then just in this one in particular, once you add that layer on to the fact that it is up 200%, I find it very difficult for stocks to continue past 200%, but it also kind of makes them the most likely to run another 200% just because they are already showing volatility, showing their strength. Decent volume here, good dollar volume, but up about 11.5 million on the day. Not a lot of daily chart history to go off of here. And we're not even sure what the staying power is like for this sector in an overall weak market today. But would expect some volatility out of this one out of the gate. It's been running all pre-market, has definitely tried to set its levels and consolidate. You got that $20 whole dollar right above it that might act as some resistance. But I generally think it's very difficult for these stocks to hold up after such significant gaps from being, a penny stock, down $5-6 to 20 overnight. It's kind of a lot of what Huddie was saying there. So not really interested at all in the buy thesis here out of the gate, or really at all today. It's just not my speed. But we'll see. I think probably likely fades, but we'll definitely know out of the open with a lot of these whether it's going to be strong or just a one and done type of pre-market, and then there really is nothing to look at throughout the rest of the day. But with JG up 200% this morning. The other ones that we alluded to, I'm going to check real quick, see if there's any other gappers besides them. And they're not even huge gappers. I think it's more just to recognize theme, to recognize how the market as a whole all comes together, where you have, a lot of red across your normal watch list. Overall markets are down significantly. But what is working? What is up on the day? What has gotten attention here in pre-market? And all three of them, JG to HOLO, which we'll look at here right now. Let me get to the news page. Holo, you'll see the news here. Plans to adopt DeepSeek. Not even done anything. They're just throwing out buzzwords. 2 days ago, look at this. Quantum was the word that they used. Quantum. was been their hot, and it's no surprise that quantum was been the hottest sector at the end of 2024. Definitely cooled off a bit following some news from their highs. They all fell significantly. They are in the midst of bounces back. I haven't looked at them today, and then boom, pivot. HOLO goes straight up to whatever's hot right now, which is DeepSeek. They are also all China. Taking a quick look at MLGO as well. China, same industry, same everything. MLGO didn't PR actually today about it that I see. Did they PR somewhere else? They're still talking about their quantums as well. But they are China. They are in that world of AI, and they're running this morning. Do we even need to like jump into? Is this something that you just know? You know, Holo ran with Fifi, I believe, at the end of last year and had a significant move. We'll talk about the daily charts in a second. Do you look at these any different every time you pull them up and you go through their dilution, or is it relatively they got it, but it kind of sometimes I feel like with these, it's not as predictable as a lot of the other small caps we trade because these are former pumps and former liquidation plays that it gets a little more tricky as to when they're weak and as to when they have significant selling pressure from the inside?
I don't know. I kind of disagree with that. I don't think they're any less more predictable, but I think a lot of this stuff is really hard to predict in the first place. Whether it's a Chinese scam or it's a low float or it's a biotech, I think a lot of it can have hard to read price action. But if you're even just looking at this most previous run, like it ran for 3 days and on day 3 it failed.
I wasn't talking about price action, Steve. I'm talking about looking at the filings and do you just kind of know what you're looking at with them?
100%. So Holo had same thing as always. Still nothing changes. The Holo, back in February of last year, had a great run. From that run, they were able to ink a lot of dilution and continually dilute, and they actually did something really ugly from that moment on till I don't know when I haven't looked, but they had a huge convertible note that came out, and that definitely matters. And then what happened, right? They did a reverse split. And what does that mean? That means that their share count goes down, their dilution is not as much. Maybe it's the same relative percentage-wise, but shares outstanding goes down, so it becomes this kind of thinner runner again, and it can run again, just like any other reverse split, just like any other scam, whether it's Chinese or not. Like, this is what all these companies are doing. And that dilution is still there. So, we had a 3-day run, and then what happened? It just got diluted into the ground back to $1.50, like not even a single pop. These guys are trying to scam you guys and get you to buy their stock, and then they're going to sell their paper onto you. And sometimes it's going to run for 2 or 3 days, and sometimes it's just going to get absolutely clobbered on day one. How do I predict that? There's no way for me to predict that because no matter what, if you look into the filings and the fundamentals, it's there. If you're buying this stock, you are asking to be sold into. I don't know the situation for MLGO as well. I just remember Holo did have some pretty big convertible notes that came out. I think it was back in August when it was running, conveniently when it was running. And I think the day it broke out, the reason I remember is because that day they inked the dilution and then sold on to everyone who bought the breakout. So I don't think the metrics behind the scams are any different than a lot of the piece of crap small caps that we see. I just think that if they're not in the mood to be diluting, they can run it a bit harder. They have more money to manipulate the stock a little bit harder than your average scams. I think that's the only difference. Otherwise, they act the same.
Yeah. And when it comes to their daily charts on Holo MLGO, they're littered with little runs, sometimes more significant runs like Holo back in 2023?
Yeah, February.
2024 maybe. MLGO and Holo both kind of ran at the end of this year, making pretty significant bounces off their lows following reverse split. So the runs are pretty significant. 1s to the 7s on MLGO, I think very similar. 1s to the 8s on Holo. I kind of look at these being so recent, about a month ago, as we're still kind of on the backside of those moves. They've been bounceless until today. And now they're bouncing right into that resistance. MLGO has significant volume today relative to that previous run. HOLO, it's a little bit on the lighter side. Just technical analysis-y. I don't believe these have very good reason to run too far, but kind of like what Huddie said, I feel like the pumps are either kind of non-starters, they're not really in play, or else they're ripping faces. And not sure if we get that or see that today, but I do think these two specifically are kind of in play together. You can see that from their previous runs and how when one gets going, people jump on the other one. But they're only up 50-60% this morning. They have the news tied to what's bringing the overall market down. They're both ex-China scams. You never quite know. Predicting them is quite difficult. I remember one Wednesday when Kyle was live trading morning and Kyle was shorting. I think it was MLGO, right?
Apollo.
Was it?
I don't know. You have to finish the sentence for me to really know.
Whatever it was, he shorted it, and it became like the most intense runner of
Apollo.
I don't see it on the chart of but it's tough
February.
to see.
Last year.
Was that it? The start of it? It's hard to tell. I know it was $3 or $4 back then.
Yeah, it was hollow.
It's just one of those things where it's really tough to predict what are these are going to do. But right now, being up not that much and into resistance from just a month ago, I don't think the stage is set for significant squeezes here. But there's enough room for them to make some decent-sized moves and maybe not look crazy on the chart, but dollars-wise and percent-wise can still be quite significant. So those are just kind of tied to the overall theme of today and what's going on. Let's see. My scanner is not really working right now. Is there any new gappers that have popped up?
No.
No. See what you guys are saying. Then we will get on out here. Only 25 likes today. Don't know what's going on. Just because the market's down, we don't have to be harsh. Hit that thumbs up button. Get that number up towards 50 for us. Appreciate you guys being here. 138 of you watching. Awesome. Hope you guys are with us all week. Sean says, I like slow markets. Makes it easier for me to sit in my hands. And when A+ setup comes around, I have more confidence since everyone will be likely trading that setup too. Yeah, I think it's all about perspective. When your watch list gets a little bit dry, there's nothing wrong with using that to enhance your patience and your discipline. So that way when the market is hotter, you can carry that discipline forward and still play the best of the best. P Daddy says, times like right now make me nervous. We're about to have another 2022 type small cap market, and that sucks so much. Fingers crossed it doesn't happen, though. It is what it is whatever will be. I don't think about stuff like that because I don't know anything. I don't know what the future holds. You could die before that end of this market happens, and it could be the greatest market or the worst market. You never know. So, right, Huddie?
Right.
Any other gap or someone bring up WIMI with DeepSeek news? Only up 33% though, so not that intriguing there. Also want to let you guys know we do have an in-person boot camp that is pinned in the comments section here in the live chat in Los Angeles, March 22nd through the 24th. If that interests you, check out the link in the description or head on over to clovertrade.io. 3 to 4 days jam-packed with education, in-person live trading, as well as presentation style for you to take notes, and you'll have access to us for 3 to 4 days to just pick our brains, take notes, and talk stocks. We love doing that, and that's coming up here. It's been about a year since our last one. Any final words going into a new week, Huddie, for the small cap market?
No, I feel like we said some good words throughout this whole episode, and there's nothing really to add on. You guys kind of know the landscape and what's going on. You guys see the gappers and why they're gapping. You guys know what to do with your strategies and what not to do with your strategies. And so from there on out, you just have to make smart decisions, wise decisions. Don't be an idiot, and you'll survive this week.
Yeah, and who knows what this week has to offer. It could turn into the greatest week of the year. You never know. Could be the most boring week of the year. You should have had some practice over the last week or so of sitting on your hands and being patient, waiting for setups. And we will never know what is around the corner unless we just keep going, and then we'll find out. So no need to predict, no need to get your panties in a bunch. We'll just trade the market in front of us and continue to make good, solid decisions. And we know through years and years and years of experience that it will reward us in the end. Thank you, Huddie. Thank you, Dom. Thank you, you guys. We will see you tomorrow, 8:45 a.m. right here on the Clover Trading YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button, and have a wonderful, wonderful start to your week. And we'll see all you Clovers in the room right now. Goodbye, everyone.